doing an actual play show, like, this is the thing, is this balance between prep and authorship and playing the game. That it is this show, and really this medium is at its best when you have just enough planned and not a beat more.
Yeah, I was right. Look at that. Yeah, check him out. Yeah. But I was kind of wrong, wasn't I? So the point of this video is trying to make a more complete picture here. I recently made an analysis video on TAZ graduation with the intent of it coming out before TAZ graduation ended. Fucking good job me doing that. I did that so that people could maybe temper their expectations, I don't know, get some insight into how the series looked to someone like me who failed to make a successful D&D podcast. But I had to, like, post it because it came out, like, it's out. So this is gonna be kind of a sort of 3-week, holy shit, it's been 3 weeks, retrospective on TAZ graduation now that it's ended, and the Adventure Zone episode about it came out, because I think there's some things I should have added in my video. There's some new insights that should be commented on, and some things I should clarify, and also talk about where I was wrong. First and foremost, if you have any reservations about listening to TAZ graduation, I hear you. But listen at least to the finale and okay, I'm not gonna fucking say that string of words again. The post-grad episode, because the finale is good. It's structured, it's wild, it's fun, it's got heart, it's got music, it really is peak TAZ. The post-grad episode is good because they have a meta talk about TAZ and put things in perspective and gives you some context. So, now that it's all over, let's see how it was done. In the post-grad episode, Travis talked about how every episode was written based on what happened last episode, and you know what? That is a good thing. I can't tell you how restrictive it is to write out multiple sessions in advance. This allows for a looseness to the story, and it can lend itself to a very open-ended narrative. But when you don't have a big bad being hinted at and built to, like, since early on in the story, it can end up feeling tacked on at the end. There's a balance that needs to be struck here, and learning all that just, comes from experience. Being a good storyteller involves having multiple story beats in your back pocket in case the players make the decision to go in that direction. So, let's take a look at 2 very extreme examples to understand what I'm talking about. On one end, you have someone with a very structured story, railroads all the way. In the hands of a good storyteller, it can be a good story told to the players. Not so much a game. On the other end, you have a game that has a loose structure, being built episode to episode, session to session. Lots of player choices resulting in narrative changes, and this makes a story that's more of a stream of consciousness. Not that there couldn't be any structure, pre-built cities, NPCs, and all that, but big story beats? Big character moments? These require things like foreshadowing and narrative breadcrumbs. More than one episode to build things up, to feel satisfying. The best place is somewhere in the middle. You take all those structured bits, those pre-written juicy bits of storytelling, you place them on a note card and you save them for the right moment, even if that moment never comes. To let the players tell their story, but also build the story they want to play in. That's why I mentioned all the meta talk stuff. Discussing what kind of story your players want to make, what narrative tropes they want to play as, because you know what? At the very end of my D&D podcast game, I gave my players the ultimate choice. for them to tell me exactly how they wanted things to end, and I then wove them this tale of how they wanted things to end, and you know what? It was really good. We had a discussion about what was the best way for things to wrap up, and I wrote that for them. Yeah, it was hard for me to write that in that moment, but because it was something that I was thinking about a lot and I had some story beats in my back pocket, I pulled all that out for that ending, and it turned out really good. Well, at least in my opinion. But that's not something that you can just learn by watching YouTube videos or talking to other experienced DMs. It's a skill you have to practice at through a bunch of failure. Okay, but I was kind of wrong in my analysis. I think I was projecting my own failures, because if TAZ graduation's story was really built brick by brick, episode to episode, then things really weren't being shifted to the DM's vision. It was just inexperience that guided this story. Maybe I should have been less harsh on TAZ graduation. Turns out episode 35 was literally 3 episodes away from the finale, so of course it had to wrap a whole bunch of stuff really fast. Let's clean up these storylines! We can't let people know we had shit! Maybe these moments would have felt more natural and been given the depth that they needed if the series was longer, but looks like they just wanted to finish up things, and God, that is something I can absolutely relate to. Okay, so these mistakes are ones that every DM has made. Heck, even every writer has made. It sucks that we have to learn from failure, but failure is just something that's not as good as it could have been. It's not inherently bad, especially if it's something that you're learning from. It's just a notice that things can be better. Maybe failure isn't the right word. Maybe I'm trying to defang the word failure. Maybe I should be less harsh on myself. I said be self-critical in my video, and I stand by that. But regret is a poison. It eats at you and drowns you, and it will consume you if you don't let it go. You, your favorite creators, have all made failures. But we wouldn't be here or be better without them. You have to let that regret wash over you, and look at what went wrong and do better next time. You have to get back in that saddle, Cowpoke! So what if you realized something wasn't perfect? Good! You've identified what can be improved! And I'm proud of you for trying. And that's the point I was trying to make. I hope I made that clear. Especially now that I've rambled about this for so long. So, if you create, and I hope you do, dear listener, then this is a lesson you're gonna learn over and over. That your next creation will be better.